before. So, Angelo, come
Yes.
here. Do you want a clicker, by the way?
Oh, that would be nice. Thank
Okay,
you.
there you go. And
Okay.
you'll have to tell us a bit more on who you are and what the Alchemist is.
Okay, yes. I'm from Restaurant Alchemist in Copenhagen. I'm a creative director. I don't touch the food, unless I'm tasting it, of course. I just steer a small creative team of designers, animators, composers, and industrial designers to create everything around the experience, if that makes sense. So Alchemist, the concept is as a restaurant, is different. Our head chef and founder, Rasmus Munk, came up with the concept of holistic cuisine. And what does that mean? Well, we try to merge different disciplines into one coherent experience. That means when our guests come to Alchemist, they don't just get the food, they get food, of course, but it's also a much larger experience like that. So we try to address big issues in the world and society by starting with the food. And then we serve the guests different kind of artistic experiences. We usually say you get around 50 impressions when you visit Alchemist. 40 of those are edible or drinkable. The last 10 are art, design, performance, music. We have a violinist from Copenhagen Symphonic Orchestra doing a performance that's part of the whole journey. So we mapped out our guests' visit throughout the restaurant on a dramaturgic curve like in theater, where you go through 5 main rooms, where you get different dishes served, different drinks, and different impressions. And I know it's a little bit hard to explain, even though I'm trying, so bear with me. It's easier to show. Can we play a video, please?
Please do that. Just click it and see what happens.
Let's-
Hopefully a video will play.
With it.
Okay, anyone out there wanting to go to Alchemist and experience a different type of meal? You don't have to raise your hands. I know you want to. No, but tell me a bit more about this massive holistic experience, because this is not just about fine dining. You add other components to it as well.
Yes. It's of course at the heart of it is fine dining, and Rasmus's vision is to change the world with gastronomy. But what we add to it around it, oh, here we are, skip. If you look at this, this is the sort of a mind map Rasmus created with, and it's holistic cuisine at the center. I know some of the texts are very small. We use science. We have around 5 full-time scientists doing research on new dishes, new techniques, new ingredients. We do collaborations with a ton of educational institutions such as MIT and Harvard we are working with right now, the Basque Culinary Center and others. And from that scientific core, it spans off all different other things, other products, other things. That turns into flavors and techniques that turns into our gastronomy. But all of it usually starts with societal problems. It's a big inspiration. We look at how we eat, how we behave as a human in this world, and how everything is changing, and we try to raise questions. We're not trying to point a finger and say, if you do this, you are wrong, but we want the meal to be a place of conversation. So we bring in these issues through the art and the food, if that makes sense. And then you have the art department, where I'm the creative leader. And with Rasmus, we try to develop new concepts for the dome. As you saw, we had a dome like a planetarium with film on it, where you eat and get the most of the dishes in that room. All of it's through the restaurant. There's different sounds. You go through 5 main rooms throughout the experience. You eat in 3 of them. The rest, the 2 others, are artistic impressions. And we try to move that journey through. That means that every room has its own sound design, and our composer not only works on one room or one film for the sound, he thinks of it in a total as a symphony that has a start, a middle, a climax, and a nice rounding out and ending. And that's quite fun to be in a place like that with these many disciplines. So to come with some practical examples, here is one of our dome contents. It's one of our first. We're actually working on replacing this one with a 2.0. And you sit in underwater. And you see jellyfishes, and they are an incredibly invasive species. That means we should eat more of them. Eat them out of existence. And then you see plastic bags. In Denmark and in the Nordic region, when we capture cod, about 1/3 of our fish has plastic in them when we eat them. And we wanted to address this, so we did this with a dome content, but we also did this with a dish. This dish is called Plastic Fantastic. The plate underneath, it's simulating a seafloor with plastic found on the Danish beaches. Then on top there is a roasted, there's cod jaw, which is really tasty. That's grilled, and there's some bone marrow. And then there's plastic, eatable plastic. So we serve our guests plastic to drive in the point. It's tasty, it's funny. The plastic, of course, is made so it's edible, and it's made of the skin of cod that we boil and dry and do special things to. That's one example. Another one is caged chicken or burnout chicken. This is about how we treat the chickens we eat or consume eggs from. At this moment, we have 26 billion chicken being raised for food. Optimistically, only half of them are caged chickens. Pessimistically, it's much worse. That means that it's 13 billion caged chickens right now. So we did a dish where you actually have to liberate the chicken from the cage. It's a real chicken foot you grab, and there's a chicken leg and then recooked. The size of that cage is relative to the size of the floor space a full chicken has. That's how little space they have. So based on that, we also did a content for the dome. So here is part of our technology. We are playing with different technologies like VR, AR, and this is a real-time game engine we use to create this. So when you sit in the dome, you look around, and you see all of these chickens around you staring down at you, blaming you while you're trying to enjoy your food. Of course, that's just part of the experience. It's a little bit scary, but we work on a dramatically curve, so we want that point to be challenging and scary, like a good movie or theater play or book. We want the successes, but we also want some scariness, some challenge, and some relief when you overcome. That's just one example and more. Another one is this one. It's called Organ. It's about organ donorship. And this, if you look at this now, it's pretty. It's also a little bit creepy, but when you sit in it, it's incredibly beautiful. And you can just sit there and enjoy your food, but it's also about a message. How many of you, for instance, here are blood donors? Okay, that's good. That's good. About 39% of the blood in Denmark, and I assume it's the same in Sweden because we have a very similar health profile, is used for cancer treatment. And there's big troubles coming out now because after COVID, we are running out. That means someone you love might get in trouble for not being able to get the blood. There's a young British lady who, at the moment, has the record of being a donor, Jemina. She died and she helped 8 people. We wanted to honor her and show that. So inside this content, hidden, there are 8 flowers for each life she touched by dying, and for her family to be a donor. So when you eat, you get this story. You get a dish. This is one of the dishes we created, where we do a 3D mold and a graphical design. We then take a shell made of blackberries and blood. We laser engrave that into it. We take the mold, then we take lamb's lung and cook them. And in our part of the world, eating the lungs is waste. We don't do it, it's taboo. And a lot of our dishes is based on waste. We look at something that is discarded and say, why? Why is that thrown out? Okay, if you take it out of a lamb, it doesn't look nice, it's not easy to cook, but it does have a really good flavor if you treat it right. So we treat it right, and we serve this dish. And it's beautiful, it's tasty, it's crunchy, and it has a message. It's part of the entire experience. For the same content you saw before, both of them now make sense somehow. And it's also enriching your experience, and it's challenging you. Another thing with the blood donorship in the UK, it's just one news article. You can keep finding these stories all over again and again and again. And it became a conversation topic, and Rasmus wanted to do something, and this is what we did. So we did a 3D printed mold. We use a lot of technology. Then the 3D shape, we made printed it, and then this is the final dish. This dish is it's a dessert. It's a chocolate made of ice cream made of a pig's blood. Yeah, yes, it is. And some blackberry ganache inside, and it's incredibly tasty. But when we serve it on the plate, because a lot of our guests Instagram their experience, we put a little QR code on the plate and we don't explain it. You can try it out. I urge you to try it out, actually.
It's red. Does it have something to do with blood as well?
Oh, you caught me there, yes.
Nah, I'm just very lucky.
Yes. So it opens a page with links to be a blood donor in your country. Now, all of those of you who opened it, how many of you are now interested in signing up? Okay, cool. Applause for you. Well done. I want to see some more hands. Come on. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
But this is absolutely so amazing, and I know that you can speak for hours and hours and
Yes,
no end about all the things you're doing here. But what I think is so interesting with Alchemist, what I think is so amazing, it's not just that they brought scientists and coders and artists into the kitchen. It's also how they have brought fine dining out into society, not just through food, but through the effects that you can reach through food. And I think that's absolutely stunning, amazing. Tell me, how many people have you converted to become blood donors?
At the new Alchemist 2.0, we don't know because we don't want to track our guests. But at the old Alchemist, now at this restaurant now we seat 50 people a night. At the old one we seated 14, 16 people at night. And out of that, 1,500 people signed up on the evening to be a blood donor.
That's absolutely amazing.
Buy a meal. And it makes for great conversation while you eat.
Yep. And you are doing more projects than just blood, I assume. You have
Yes.
more things in the pipeline than that.
Yes, we are constantly. It is a restaurant. We are around 90 to 100 people from 32 different nationalities. Out of these, I think about a third of us is not involved directly in service, but is trying to develop the restaurant, the concept, the dishes, the art, the messages, and try to push things forward. We are open source. That means when we figure out something good, we put it out there, we share it with universities, with everyone who's interested. That's new techniques, that's new way of doing things, and trying to nudge our guests a little bit, teach them to take some action. And
Take action. I think
yes.
that's the word. Take action. Don't just eat what's on your plate. Take also action. And thank you for directing us to take action, Jon. It's been a pleasure to have you here. All of you go to Alchemist in the future and dine there and be changed. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we end up with a picture of an eye. And that leads me to my next guest, who is none else than Johan Svan. Where are you, Johan? Yeah, here he comes. Because this is all about tricking the brain. And now we trick the brain to believing that was an eye, which of course was not. And we're going to talk